There I am.
Yeah,
Welcome.
I had to remember to put this thing on.
Welcome. We're here too. You're all here.
Oh, Hiroko, I just saw your face.
Yeah, there
Yay!
she is.
Bodhidas, I don't see you. Oh,
Yeah,
there
they're
he
up in the
is.
kitty corner.
So cool.
Very good. All right, so welcome you all. Satsang.
Hey,
And
Satsang.
namaste.
Namaste. You guys are so funny.
All right.
I want to say hi to Michelle too. Hello, Michelle Walter. Okay, I'm done.
All right.
Really.
So this is a series of 3 programs. Today will be a satsang. What I believe we go hour and a half. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Hour and a half on the
To
satsang.
2 hours. Hour and a half.
2 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll have another satsang tomorrow at the same time. And then we do an intensive on Sunday. And that will be an all-day program. Now, the 2 satsangs are automatically will go on YouTube. So, and anybody can come and join us for the satsangs.
Only today.
Tomorrow, no?
Nope. Tomorrow's a paid event, and so is the intensive. So you have to pay to join.
I got it. So today is free. So we have, some of you may be totally new. I may not have met you. You may know of me, but I don't know of you. So this is an introduction to what I am, what I do, what New Dharma is, and perhaps get clarity for yourself about the nature of the continuous nature of my programs. That even the satsangs are an introduction to the paradigms, the way I hold things, the way I see the opportunity of spiritual awakening is for each of you. It's my direct experience after traveling this journey over 20 years, is that this experience of awakening has its own hidden quality or purposeful direction that's taking us somewhere. So whenever someone comes to hear me or listen or read my materials, I'm really continuously pointing to the purpose of your awakening and the opportunity it is for you to consciously collaborate with some basic principles that have to do with the fundamental nature of consciousness, which we're an expression of, in such a way that you're empowered to become a collaborator with the natural unfolding of the spiritual potential and possibility you carry, to actualize it, to make it more real, to make it a lived part, an integral part of the rest of your life. So therefore, really, it's my experience that that particular process, the integration and making it real in our lived life, is really the work all the way along. I'm not convinced yet that it will end when we die. I am clear that this unfolding of the huge magnificence and grandeur and vastness and essential reality that we already are is an endless unfolding. And this entire creation that we find ourselves in the middle of is just one expression of innumerable expressions of that inherent purpose of existence for consciousness to become aware and ultimately to become self-aware, to wake up to itself as consciousness and thereby discover its original nature in its own creation. So there's my introduction. For any of you who are new, you might want to write it down or listen to this again, because it will be easy to listen to again. Just to sort of let that sink in into what that might mean for you. Now, those who have been with me for some time, they already know what they're in for. But those who haven't, it points to an inherent strength, capacity in you to get real with yourself and as you are, and thereby get more real with that essential quality that you have awakened to. So it's really the purpose of my work is not to have followers or devotees or people who read my books or any of this. It's to empower you to be able to walk your own journey, to walk your own path, and to come to greater and greater responsibility or presence with those things in you that are obstructing the unfolding or making unstable the unfolding of the awakening that has already occurred, and those parts of you that are actually aligned and already collaborating consciously in some way with the unfolding that's occurring. And in that, begin to discern truth and untruth, first within ourselves, because that's where it always comes down to. Truth may appear to be outside of us, but at best, it's a signal that allows us to find the truth within ourselves. So I'm pointing to something that you already know. Matter of fact, people have told me again and again that I'm using the words they use when they're with themselves in that deep way, because truth is one, and it's speaking and trying to be recognized through every one of us. So my words or my languaging or how I label things may be different than what you're used to. So I invite you to just come to that part of yourself that can feel or recognize the truth of what is being presented and the opportunity that it can be for you. Okay. So where are we going to go with this? I can tell you I'm heading somewhere. We're going to do an intensive on Sunday that has proven to be the most effective tool that I've brought forward in a long time. And it's called Shame as a Doorway. And it's really talking about the part of us that has adapted and compromised itself to fit in and come into existence and survive and protect itself. And underneath all of that is a very essential not. You could say, no, not this, that has us react to the universe in ways that separate us from it and from recognizing the truth of ourselves. So in this talk, and perhaps tomorrow's as well, I'm going to talk about empowering you to recognize your own capacity to discover those structures within yourself. And this talk is going to be about discovering your true authority. It's about discovering the capacity in you to call it on yourself in ways that this other part of you, the adapted, egoic, compromised, fearful, controlling, negative, reacting part of you, to be able to see how it is shaping your ability to be in a more true relationship with yourself and existence. See, you could always say, and I can speak from experience, that no matter how integrated a person is, no matter how confident they are, they're all in a structure of compensation. A compensation that in its very fundamental base has to do with what shame protects us from. Our own fear of the validity of our own existence. When we can become more confident, you could say, in the part of us that we awaken to, which is in its purity and its immediacy and its innocence, has no issues with being, living, experiencing, then we are finding an aspect of the true authority that lies buried or compensated for or adapted and has now become an apparently self-sufficient, capable ego. This is a lot of work. It takes continuous effort to feel good about ourselves. It takes a continuous process of protection or getting, laying claim or controlling to preserve the order, the current compromised order of our conditioned human life. So we're living in a condition of stress. Sometimes it's low grade, sometimes it's right there on the surface and you're miserable. It's that stress that has us not be able to be in existence as it is. It's that stress that doesn't allow us to let go and relax into the immediacy of our own existence. Although we strive to do this in our human life through taking vacations or taking medications or drinking alcohol or distracting ourselves with friends or media or whatever else, activities. This stress is always being regenerated. And until we discover our true authority, we can't even begin to become aware of that quality of true authority, I should say, awaken to it. We can't even begin to go in and dismantle those habitual patterns that have been running all the time. It's like Microsoft running on your computer all the time. You're looking on media, you're looking at the website, you're watching movies, but behind that is this whole other huge software structure. Well, that's the stress. That whole hidden paradigm of assumptions, unexamined feelings, denials, refusing to experiences, all this content of unlived life is running in the background, waiting for its time to come on the stage. And usually when it does, it's always unwanted. And usually when it does, we project it onto others. We project it on our circumstances. We project it on the authorities in our life. We project it on our relationship, on our kids. And all that does is perpetuate the stress of our separate self, of living as a separate being, disconnected from its true authority. So how to find this true authority? That's the inquiry. Maybe we're just going to begin into languaging what that might look like as we talk. I do have an intensive on the same theme, so I'm going to draw from the notes from that program to sort of bring forward now in this satsang. So the intent of this satsang is to bring forward a possibility that lies inherent in each of us. It is to assist each one of you in discovering an integrated potential within you that is the key to the empowerment of truth and oneness in our lives, where we're able to come into life without the stress of our egoic programming, our software, our conditioning, some of which, by the way, is hardwired, just like a computer is hardwired. But much of it is software that we keep feeding through our mental worry and projections and anxieties and doubts and explanations and justifications and desires and hopes and ambitions and assessments of ourselves and others. So we're running the script driven by a software that currently we're unaware of or not fully aware of. Those of you who have done a fair amount of inner work, then you've entered into the territory we're speaking of. And what is it that enters into that territory? What is it that can catch how your relationship with a father has affected every relationship ever since, or your relationship with your mother has affected every relationship ever since? Is a truth of you, a capacity to perceive newly, to experience newly assumptions that you've been blindly accepting to be truth. It's not our fault that this happens. It's actually an inherent byproduct of the evolutionary process that created our bodies, that created the entire need to survive and to succeed, to not be diminished, to enhance ourselves. This is inherent in everything living in order to preserve its opportunity to be in existence. And that is actually the fundamental purpose of existence, is to exist. So we're the flowering of that purpose in our own individuality, but we bring with us all the cumulative trials and errors of the evolutionary process. So the fact that we find ourselves being run by this program isn't about our fault. It's about a machinery that everyone was born into, if they like it or not. And by discovering how this machinery is running you, a quality of consciousness becomes available, a truth seeking, a what's real seeking, what's important seeking comes. See, that's the nature of this true authority. It has a certain power that when it's used, gets stronger. It starts actualizing itself every time we're able to penetrate into the software, to the programming, and start dismantling our addiction to it, our belief in it, our unexamined feelings and sensations associated with it. And in the process, reclaiming the part of ourselves that's lost, identified with, attached to, vested in those structures that have been keeping them in place. And when we do that, when we succeed, every time we succeed in meeting a part of the existing pre-wired programming or software that's running, we get this relief. We get this, we get a sense of peace, maybe a sense of love. A relaxation comes. That quality is the restoring of the true authority that you are. A recovery of the part of you that actually is determining how you show up in life and how life shows up for you. It's the knower, it's the experiencer, it's the very essential quality of what you are. Not the who you are, not the personality, not the personal story and me and my wants, my fears and my history and why I can't and why I can. It is this freed quality of I amness, of the truth of ourselves that is. And from that isness, we can see thatness. We can see with clarity the nature of what the universe is bringing to us, and in time, the nature of how we're reacting or responding to that. These are very empowering moments. It is actually the real spiritual work. And what is getting empowered is that true authority that we are. So we're here, we're talking about this to clarify or to restate or to strengthen your own ability to become an individual expression, a unique individual expression. Be clear that the outcome of coming to true authority is not abandoning your essential nature. It's rather clearing and preparing for the full uniqueness of your individual nature to become an instrument or channel for consciousness so that we can become an effective, useful instrument or channel for this principle I call the Supreme Being. To recognize, to begin to recover that part of us which is actually also the Supreme Being, but we are not able to know that initially. But in the process of moving into relationship, preparing ourselves and using this quality of perceiving and experiencing truth will bring forward that ultimate true authority of the divine will within us that's here to serve the evolutionary purpose that actually our current times more poignantly is demonstrating than any other time in history. The peril and the purpose are often very closely related. When we begin to recognize that which is not allowing existence to continue to grow and unfold, puts us in touch with the purpose of that peril as a means to awaken us to that which is still in the way, still obscured. And every time we move into that relationship with that essential purpose, we're drinking something internally into the essential quality of what the universe purpose is, both in what's arising in the immediacy in our outer life and what's arising in the immediacy of our inner life. So we become an instrument or channel to manifest the divine authority into the world. Most people are trained to develop their outer-oriented mind and personality to fit into the rules, requirements, demands, and expectations of the outer life. This program trains our consciousness to turn inward to work out the underlying principles, rules, and forces in which the outer life is simply a reflection. To begin to see how we are creating how the world shows up for us. And in the process, can come to responsiveness, can come to responsibility to how we are reacting or taking in or experiencing how life is showing up. And in this process, we start claiming with greater and greater authority how we're having people and circumstances show up the way they are. The more we're afraid of something, the more we're resisting something, the more likely we're creating something fearful or something to be resisted. The more likely we're going to be attuned to those things in life that can be threatening or unwanted. How that works gets revealed to us at a time where we begin to see that we're actually creating our own suffering and the suffering in those around us, or unnecessary suffering in those around us, because each one of us are doing the same thing. The less conscious, less someone's in touch with themselves, the more they're an unconscious instrument and channel for the ignorance, for the error, for the habituated program. The more they're invested in what they're attached to, what they're hanging on to, what they're trying to get, what they're trying to control, what they don't want to know, or what they're trying to know. So this part of us that is still habituated, still unconscious, and still automatic, already carries something of the shame design, the smallness design, the helplessness and powerlessness design that is pointing to the fundamental error we call shame. or self-diminishment. But to get there, to have the strength to actually penetrate through all the compensating structures, through all the strategies, through all the programs, all the stories you've believed in or the things you believe in, the things you've made important, the things you've cherished, the things you've held on to, you begin to see how we're creating suffering, that we're instruments and channels of suffering. You know, you show up one day, you're not feeling good about yourself, and you go out into the world and you tend to broadcast your mood into the environment with your complaint, or with your judgment, and with your reactivity, and with your dissatisfaction. And of course, then you'll find matches. Some will be in agreement with you, and some will be opposed to you, and some will be diminished and affected by you. Some will make you wrong. And you're doing that on automatic, being a channel instrument for your ignorance. So the spiritual path is an opportunity to stop doing that. This whole thing I'm talking about, coming to your true authority, is stop doing harm. And this includes to yourself, not only those who we dump all our shit on. Ready or not, here it comes. And then their shit reacts to your shit, and then you got a shit storm. Right? We know about these things. This is not abstractions. This is something that arises in the immediacy of our lived life and our relationships and our struggles. When we don't feel good about ourselves and there's no one around who can get it, then we're stuck in not feeling good. And after a while, we're just a broadcasting beacon for our misery. Now, if you're aware of that, of course, you could, in your human paradigm, you could judge yourself for being so miserable. And you use it as more shaming of yourself. Or if you have a different design, more blaming, of our president or of the circumstances or our political order or our financial situations or the inequality, whatever, take it. The world is full of opportunity to discover where we're still in our shitstorm. Once in a while, nature comes in and gives mankind a moment of reality. Something outside of the story, something outside of the momentum of our programming. And what the fuck, we have a quarantine. We have a pandemic. This is Mother Nature saying, all right, children, wake up. How else can she teach us? No person did this. I mean, we can blame somebody how they responded to it or reacted to it, but this is Mother's gift to mankind, to be caught in the act of a shitstorm. That's her gift. Consequences. This is the nature of this domain. It's the Kuaketra. It's the Ketra. It's the field of karma and Dharma, where there are consequences. Actions you take or don't take have consequences in this dimension. This is where consciousness actually gets organized enough to wake up because of consequences. If there weren't consequences, we would be just the perfectly happy blob we were when we were babies. This is misery for the purpose of waking us up to misery. And in the process, to that innate authority that we are. So we can determine that we're going to respond to this out of caution or respond to this out of fear. How we react or how we determine or how we use this. I mean, it may be very much. The mother is putting everybody on quarantine. She's stopping us from doing any more damage for a while. What's happening? Environment's improving every single day. Airs are clearing. The CO2 is down 80% already. Consequences. Stop making a shitstorm. Stop feeding the structure, and better things happen. The world can move back into alignment with a natural order that we've been ignoring or denying or operating over the top of. We've all been trained or conditioned to function in life as a person, in mind and matter, creating a sense of self based on what our mind and senses and what others tell or demand of us. Inevitably, we lose access to our original being and become that condition. We become it, we merge with it. We take on the sins and the errors and the habits of our inheritance, of our parents, of our environment, our culture, our religion, the belief system that was all around us, are in compliance or rebellion. You know, this endless needing to have freedom to do it my own way. Where does that come from? It doesn't come from freedom. It comes from a false sense of freedom because the very same structure is what creates this sense of bondage. So we rebel against the bondage, but we attribute to circumstances or other people. I'm going to leave you because I don't feel you love me anymore. I don't love you anymore because I want something else. Endless expressions. You don't have to look far further than your own memory, your own daily experience. This limited ability to access the original purity that we were born with is what creates suffering. To whatever extent we can access it through joy or happiness or pleasure or partner friendship or learning, there are many ways that our being can come into existence as a person, and it can bring this sense of expansion, a sense of betterment, a sense of uh, uh, a higher quality or vibration than what we've been conditioned to. We get hints of moments of recovery, even in our human life. But it's really not until we awaken. What we awaken to always is that essential purity we were born with. And we recover that in our spiritual awakening process if we make conscious effort to continue to dismantle the error of the conditioning that occurred previously. I like to say that awakening is the what we are, waking up out of the who we are. So the what we are was already there, this essential purity, this essential reality, this essential true authority that we are. When we awaken, it comes out not just through our intellect or our heart, although those might be byproducts, but there is this coming into a new capacity to know and experience than what was there before. Now, most people, when they awaken, the first thing they see is what they have awakened from, who they were, the conditioning, the suffering it created, and see it in the light of this expanded, relaxed, open, thrilled to be in existence quality of what we are. And then at first that thing is said, good, I'm done. I don't want to have anything to do with that. I'm finished. Let me just be like I am. Don't let me go into this thing again. Oh God, oh God, oh no, oh no. Inevitably, that's what happens. Why? Because in the course of our life, our what we are has given empowerment to who we are. It believes what it believes. It has the story that is real. So we have unwittingly empowered this limited capacity of ourselves through the course of our lived life. So what we have to do in order to not get overwhelmed, and even if we don't choose to come back, we go to India and we live in ashram and all we do is stay in this state and stay in this state and stay in this state, you'll notice that it will not be there if you have to go back into your life. You know, go and have dinner with the family after you've been in India for a while, and you'll discover all the parts of you of who you are that still has authority or claim over you. Now, in fact, that's what you want to happen. Matter of fact, awakening has the purpose so that we can bring that awakening into what we awaken from and begin to realize and see all the conditioning and all the structures. But this is not just seeing through the witness, like, okay, there's me behaving badly. I'm not that. it's a dream, it's a false person. That has no power. We have to own it. We have to meet the thing that's arising from the consciousness that created it. So that means we have to lose ourselves. We have to lose our awakening. Nature will do this for us if we don't do it for ourselves. If we don't choose to meet how life is showing up from our conditioned self, then we cannot dismantle the part of our power, part of our authority that's invested in those structures. And therefore, even if our awakening expands to a certain point, it will be stopped. It'll be held back. It will be unstable and not able to be fully alive because these things are still laying claim. And so therefore, for every awakening, there's a quality of awakening and then the losing of awakening. The experience of losing the awakening is like death because you're more aware than usual. You're more in touch with the misery of your bondage, the misery of your own unwitting or self-created ignorance. And that costs needs to be felt. It actually needs to be met. Because what it does, the authority it carries, has something to do with this shame structure that goes with our diminishment. This habitual, unwitting adaptation that comes as we individualize, as we come as a separate, as we develop as a separate person. And it is the root, it is the doorway to the root of what separated us from our vast and unbound, unborn, never died quality. Therefore, having an understanding of what it is the nature of the opportunity of your awakening, and lining with that throughout the rest of the course of your life has a means of continuing to reclaim the parts of your diminished authority, meeting it, and then including it in a greater authority, a greater capacity to be. You know, when we discover, I know in my life, when I discovered my addiction, I was very addicted. I didn't discover my addiction before. I was spent 2.5 years absolutely convinced that the reality was getting my next fix. And the morality of my life was doing whatever I had to do that. It was a single focused life. It wasn't until I was approaching a tremendous physical diminishment that I woke up to my addiction. And it was in that crisis, it was in the consequences of actions that I was taking out of my conditioning and my reaction to my conditioning. In one sense, trying to be free, but unwittingly continuing to perpetuate what I was bound by, that I woke up to the fact that I had something to do with where I was. And I began a process of owning my shit, recognizing I'm an addiction, going public with it, and a process of apologizing and compensating in terms of the world of karma in ways that didn't come from my ego, but came from trying to come to a resolution within my own self. And that process did prepare me for my spiritual awakening 30 years later. So it's a human journey as well as a spiritual journey. That our ability to have been able to call it on ourselves to catch the damage of how we've been creating our own suffering, be it through therapy, be it through self-inquiry, being through any other modality that can bring us in touch with that we've kept hanging on to or recreating, empowers this process. So that when our spiritual awakening happens, a fuller and more true and more empowered expression of that awakening could come into existence, where it can continue in such a way where you can become stabilized in your awakening. And from there, be in touch with the reason you awakened, to the true authority that you're in existence for, your Dharma, your ultimate Dharma. All right. There are three things that need to be done for this to happen. This is simplistic, but I'm going to keep it practical. There's applied science. Everything I teach is application. I built buildings. I was an architect for 25 years. So it was about, okay, how can I use that? How does it work with other pieces? How can we make it all work together? So this is the applied science of this particular form in terms of how you make this real. The first and foremost is you connect to the force of truth. Now, for those of you who are connected to me, we call it the Sat force. For those who aren't, you can be sure that what awakened you was a new consciousness. And then you partook for a period of time in your awakening with that new consciousness. Now, it's new relative to what we knew before. It may be new to how humanity lives, but this new consciousness was always here. It's just now coming in because we're, as humanity, in a time where if it doesn't, the whole opportunity of the human race is endangered. So there is a force that's coming in. And when my awakening occurred, the reason I awakened was to be a channel and instrument for that force. So when people who are working with me, inevitably, one way or another, they'll start experiencing an acceleration of this quality of consciousness that you've awakened to, a quickening in your system, a fire, an enlightenment, a sense of connecting to something greater than yourself, a longing for something greater than yourself, a current, a felt current in your body, are all expressions of this principle. So the first thing is to tap into that current to whatever extent it's available to you. It may show up as aspiration, a striving for something greater, or it may show up as simply a longing to feel what happens in your wounded self as you connect to this greater reality that you are, which is a loving, holding quality of presence and being. Both are expressions. It's on this work that I look for you to apply both those means. The aspiration, which brings you the power of inquiry and self-examination, and the longing that allows you to dissolve and let go of that which separates you from that which is coming. One is the path of jnana or knowledge, and the other is the path of love or bhakti. So both of these become means by which we align with this current. This current empowers that essential authority we have that defines or determines what's real or not real. That creates reality. That can perceive unreality, untruth, lie, distortion, ignorance. They can see the darkness. The light goes up in the kitchen and all the cockroaches spread into the corners. When the light comes on, you can see you got cockroaches. Now you got to go under the cabinets and in between the dishes to find all the cockroaches. So that's the nature of discovering the untruth in each of ourselves. It's this continuous process of trying to get the cockroach, hit the mole every time it pops up. It's developing this ability to recognize that the error that we're living every single moment of our lives. And if we can catch ourselves in the act of those parts of ourselves that create diminishment and suffering, well, then we whack the mole. Kill the thing right there. Might make your floor messy, but you can always mop up afterwards. So the principle here is really a dynamic, engaged collaboration with an awakening process that already will start to happen, will start accelerating once you tap into this new consciousness that's coming into you. And the second step is to train your attention. So that's one thing you should know. One of the powers of you is what you attend to. You can attend to one thing or another thing. You have choice. The uniqueness of our species is we're not run by programming and just instinct. We have software, and we can actually reprogram ourselves. We can create new software. We have to learn the code. That's part of this work, is to learn the code to reprogram so that the software that you are is more aligned with the truth of what's coming. And in the process, by turning your attention, you begin to turn the light on what you're attending to, and one of two things will happen. One thing is you'll make it more real by the power that comes through consciousness that we all are, through your attention to that issue. So the issue might be the fight you just had with your partner, right? And if your consciousness is looking at that and saying, who's right, who's wrong, and I'm sorry about it, or I'm angry about it, and I can't forgive the guy once again, and went through all that, what you're doing is you're empowering the existing structure. But if you take the new consciousness and you pay attention to how that's impacting you in your body, in your emotional nature, in your gut, in each of the locations of where energy gets blocked up in you, step out of story, because by the way, mind will never let you figure this out, never. You have to drop into your heart, into your gut, into your body to be able to turn your consciousness and attend to what's arising in such a way that its authority over you is released and comes back to you. So this ability to be open to the new consciousness empowers your ability of attention to move out of the habitual way of perpetuating the error into a new way that actually dissolves the error and recovers the energy, the power, the authority that was lost and locked up in that. I call that process eating the elephant. Why? Because we're like the tip of the iceberg. The elephant is the whole iceberg, and we're the tip of it. So when you take that part of us that's the whole tip of the iceberg and we start turning into the whole iceberg, we start finding huge depths and layers of this conditioning, of which we're a small little 7.4 billionth expression of. The more we're able to penetrate into this pyramid, the more we convert that which is hidden into that which is awake. And if you just think of that as an iceberg without an end, you begin to understand the nature of the possibility of an endless unfolding of your true authority. And in this process, and by the way, it's not actually something you have to, so this is the third item. One is turning to the truth consciousness, the new consciousness coming. Two is this application of your awareness, of your intelligent awareness to that which is still hidden, still reactive, still doing its thing. And then you stop it. You don't let it keep doing it. You own what's happening to you. You experience it in your body and you eat it, dissolve it. And in the process, enhance that quality that can find darkness, that true authority you are. What happens concurrent with this process is you recover your purpose for existing. You not only recover your purpose for existing, you start living it. You start living a new life aligned with that purpose, which further empowers your ability to create a new reality in your current lived life. Okay. There you have it. Now that's the warm up. Okay. That just kind of gives you the general picture so you know what kind of shit you're going to get into and what the work is and what is being invited. By the way, invited, you're absolutely free to participate or not. Literally, you have to be the one who chooses to do this. I can point the way, but you can lead a horse to water, but if it doesn't want to drink, it doesn't drink. So it's the nature of this is to empower you to make a choice other than the one that's being shaped by your conditioning, by your fear, by your not wanting to let go, by your preferences that have been shaped by a long list of repulsion and attraction, of desire and fear. So it's this willingness and ability to choose this for yourself that taps into this quality of authority that we're talking about today. Choose to discover, to meet that which separates you from the supreme truth that you are, the unboundless power, clarity, aliveness, immediacy, capacity to create a new paradigm, a new creation, both inward and outwardly. Okay, I think that's good. That particular stream is just wrapped up. Put the period in. Now we're going to, by the way, I'm the one who chooses to put the period in. I have learned that there's only so much of this that anyone could absorb at any one time. So I'm learning to put the period in and also to speak longer, have longer gaps. Yeah, it's hard to tell because I got a big faucet. I got a big pipe connected to me. I have to learn how to close down the faucet. So I'm closing down the faucet. There we go. I really am. Now, I invite any of you who would like to come up and share what's there for you, what your insight is, or what questions that may arise. It's not necessary to follow this same topic, but it's inevitably going to be related to what we're talking about, and you'll find that by sharing wherever you are. So it's really an invitation to come forward and interact with me. I look forward to it. So any of you who feel to do that, you're welcome to do so. So I think the process is you hit the request or you write something. How do they let you know? At the raise hand button. Okay.
First up, we have Kalima.
Kalima. What? You're not getting enough of me? Didn't you have enough of me from yesterday?
I'm actually calling for someone else. Annie is on the phone with a question, and she does not have the ability to raise her hand. So,
hey,
all right, Annie.
Bring up the phone thing.
Yeah.
All right, so let's hear Annie.
Well, Annie, Kalima's going to give us Annie's question.
Bring on Annie. Yeah, her phone.
So Annie can ask the question.
And you could just sit there.
Do you have her?
Oh, okay. Hey, you can hear me Annie. Now.
There she is.
Yeah.
Hi, Annie.
Hey, I recognize the green circle on the phone. Yes. Good to see you again.
Yes. Well, likewise to hear you. I can't raise my hand, so I called Kalima because I had a question left over from yesterday.
Okay.
Which is, you had told me that the Kundalini movement would clear a lot of the stuff that I'm dealing with. Is that right? Like the sensitivity.
It will take time, but yes, if you collaborate with the process of the Kundalini, it has its own intelligence. So learning how to get a sense of what it wants or what it's bringing up, is that everything that's bringing up is part of this awakening intelligence that comes with the Kundalini Shakti. So you're learning to kind of surrender your will and let the Kundalini Shaktis have her way with you in your system. And the more you can do that, the more you can consciously collaborate, like I was telling you, bring the current, imagine it coming up further in your body as you're welcoming it to your body.
So I have a question about this, which is that it seems like certain things bring this process on. At least that seems like it's happened recently. And I'm wondering, should I actually try to bring it on, or should I let it do it in its own time?
I don't know enough about your circumstances or the process of your life that you've gone through to give you specific direction. But in
Yeah.
general, it's a matter of both treating yourself kindly and willingness to let something happen. So I know a lot of people that when the Kundalini fire comes, they say, bring it on. They want more and more and more. That's not always advisable, depending upon how deeply conditioned or traumatized you've been in the course of your life. And based on what you've described to me, there's a fair amount of that. So
Right.
I think what's going to be needing is that this incremental including of it, rather than seeking to accelerate the process, because the nature of our conditioning is primarily really down in the subliminal and deep unconscious structures of your physicality now. It's right there in that bioelectrical design that has made you so sensitive to environmental energies and to food. So that has to take some time so that you can really have the capacity to have its full expression. So be loving. Be loving with yourself and be loving for what the grace that's coming.
Okay. And I should still experiment with what you said, like,
Yes,
well, not experiment, but feel my reactions to everything.
exactly.
I mean,
That whole idea.
You said the Kundalini would take care of it, but if the Kundalini is going to take a long time, there's maybe stuff I can do
That's
that
right.
you also.
That's
Okay.
exactly how you collaborate. You use your conscious attention to be in touch with the part of existence you're still in reaction to, repulsed by, overtaken by. And
Yeah.
in the process of just being with it, you invite the quality of consciousness that Kundalini Shakti is bringing into your attention, which has its own magic. It has the ability, it gives you the ability to be with it enough that the very uh, embedded, locked up structures of consciousness that it's representing start revealing themselves. They start unfolding like a petal opening up, relaxing out of its bud, coming out of its contracted bud and opening up to existence in new ways. So that's what happens when the Kundalini Shakti, you're collaborating with her intent in this way. It's not just you, it's also in my teachings, the Krishna principle that's joining you with this collaboration, this willingness to be where you are in your body without any story or projection into the future or bringing forward the past that keeps in place the resistance. It's this immediacy of what's arising in your body. That's how you can collaborate, correct?
Okay. Thank you. And by the way, did you get my picture?
I don't know. It may have been sent. You sent it to New Dharma. Gmail.
A friend of mine, you asked for my picture, and a friend
Yes.
of mine sent it to you last night. So I was wondering
I
if you
didn't
got
see
it.
it last night. So
Annie, what email address did they use?
I think it was Shree@newdharma.org.
Then
okay, then I typically don't have a chance to check my emails to the evening.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering. Okay.
Okay, then I'll know what you look like. But
you know
Okay.
Thank
you.
I
What?
I know what you really look like, no matter what your body or face is.
I wish I did. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thanks, Annie.
That's why you can see me, but I can't see you.
Right. Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Ian. Good.
We have Erica up next.
Erica,
Erica, hey,
namaste. Welcome.
Namaste, namaste.
you're so far away.
Oh yes, just a few hundred
I could,
feet.
if I had a
Throw a
strong
pebble.
enough throw, I could hit your window.
Yes, please do.
Please.
Yes. So I'm feeling very strange. And it's interesting because we had the talking stick last night, and this is what came up for me too. I just felt kind of odd, and I'm still feeling that way. And I'm and all I can really do is kind of sensate into my body a little bit just for some information. I've been, over the last couple of days, I had this sore spot right on my right side above the lung area. And and also I have a whole lot of other stuff going on as far as my working life, you know, and this and what I'm experiencing in this new capacity, in this new position that I'm involved in.
You have a
And
job. You have a new job.
yes, you want to hear about it?
Just enough. Yeah, please do.
Just too much. I'm a caregiver for a quadriplegic man.
Oh, that's right. I remember. Yeah.
Yes. So,
Job.
yeah. So I've discovered that it's brought me in touch with a very deep guilt that came up during a particular incident that was earth shattering. And since then, I've been experiencing also this, then I've gone through a number of days just where I felt I had no capacity to do anything whatsoever. Nothing to rely on. I was
Have you
just.
been able to be with the quadriplegic since that happened?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I'm
Okay.
with him. But
Yeah.
now we're entering into this other zone where basically everything that I'm encountering, if I'm conscious, if I'm attentive, has information in it as far as the
Somatic quality in your body.
well, it's more just the structures that this particular person carries. Just it's
theirs?
continuous.
Is it theirs?
It's theirs. It's
or
theirs.
Your reaction to theirs.
Oh, well, it's my reaction is generally repulsion, you know.
Okay.
But I'm beginning to be able to kind of move into a different relationship with this.
All right, very good. I think that's what it is. Repulsion is non-life. It's no to life.
Mhm.
And what you're seeing is a very organic demonstration of life with limited functioning, limited capacity to behave in a human form.
Mhm.
What do you imagine the person feels when you're feeling repulsion? When he recognizes your repulsion?
Um, I'm not really
Right.
getting in touch with anything,
I want
but
you to
I
get,
can, yeah, okay.
you can understand it. So get in touch
I
with
can.
yeah, right side of your heart. That location, upper heart, right side.
Mhm.
Okay. And just feel into the question.
Yeah, it's
What
it's
is the price of my repulsion?
mhm,
How is it affecting
mhm.
someone? Feel that.
Yeah, it's pain. It feels like there's pain.
And the
Yeah.
nature of that pain. I want you to stay with the feeling of the pain. Yeah, there's a physical pain, I'm assuming. Is there emotional?
Well, no, it's an emotional pain.
Okay, what's
And
the
it,
nature of the emotional pain?
my sense is diminishment.
You feel diminished by recognizing.
That's what comes up for me initially when you.
No,
when you
that's
ask
perfect.
me.
That's exactly correct. I'm just
Mhm.
confirming that recognizing repulsion, being diminished by your repulsion. And are you doing that to yourself, or is that how you're affecting the other person?
Oh, it's to myself as well, of course. I mean, there's a resonance of that. There's a kind of a reverberation of that within me as well. Yeah.
Right. So you're actually meeting the cost of repulsion, which is it diminishes us. It diminishes our purpose in existence. It diminishes our ability to be in relationship with others.
Mm.
It diminishes ourselves to be free, to be alive, to be immediate. It's our wounded, defended self. It's our traumatized self. So it is so difficult to meet it unless you're consciously choosing to recognize it as an opportunity
Mm-hmm.
rather
Yeah.
than blame yourself or to feel bad that you're making someone else feel bad because you can't help your repulsion or any of that, but rather to meet the cost of that structure in your experience. No solution. No about blame, shame, good, bad. I'm a good person. I'm a bad person. You know, whatever. There's just this immediacy of the felt pain. And while you're paying attention to that, can you feel how this is impacting your
Mhm.
heart?
Well, it's so interesting that it's you know, the only way that I could really feel that sore is if I touch it a
Good.
little bit.
That's your way. You need to
Yes.
touch the body where it is.
Yes, and yeah, and that's my way in, and just in this exchange, just getting a deeper sense of what in fact is
Okay,
at
so
stake.
I'm there with you.
Yeah.
And what I'd like you to do is just continue to feel that sensation. We'll take the word label pain off, and then see if there's a resonance in your belly or in your heart or in your first or any of your chakras other than that location simultaneously while you're paying attention.
Yeah, it's throughout the entire, I can, I'm not really aware of what's going on in the first, but I could feel it reverberating throughout that entire area, really, kind of as if it's kind of spreading out,
Okay, good.
you know, just
So
as an impact.
yes,
It's really quite something.
yes, this is what you want to do.
Mhm.
Because what you're your meeting is first your reaction to the person being that way. As you meet this in yourself, you'll expand your ability to be with them as they experience themselves, seeing themselves through your eyes, through sensing your reaction.
Yeah.
The compassion
Mhm.
and the ability to be there in
Mhm.
the recognition of how this repulsion in you
Mhm.
is separating you from being with this quite challenging human form is the opportunity of expanding.
Oh, absolutely. I feel very aware of that too. And I take it that every day just brings me closer to being more a compassionate vessel.
So
You
the
know?
strange feeling that was going on when you
Mhm.
started this conversation
Yeah.
is probably a readiness to shift
Yes,
in your consciousness.
I feel that too.
It was just
I feel
not,
that too.
hasn't quite come together. So this
Yeah.
is an entry point
Mhm.
to the shift. This may not be the whole shift. It probably isn't. It's
Mhm.
probably pointing to a
Mhm.
life adaptation that has protected you from having met other
Mhm.
people's pain, thereby
Mhm.
protecting you from
Mhm.
your own getting overwhelmed by other
Exactly.
people's pain.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, this is an incredible opportunity for me, I find.
And there is something in the physicality of this, why you have problems.
Absolutely.
Body is
Yes.
actually, that's your first chakra. The part of you that has not yet learned
Yes.
to imagine what it would be in that kind of body.
Mhm. Yes.
And we talk about repulsion. If you really want to know it, you know, to be in the most ugly, twisted, incapable thing in physical form,
Mhm.
what's the lesson for that person? What's the wisdom that they have to come to in self-acceptance in order to be able to live life as they are? And it probably came later, right? It didn't come at birth,
He's been in this state for 20 years.
20 years, but it's,
Yeah.
so the
And he's
parent,
my age.
ah,
And he's from New York, you know, I mean.
you got it right. It's perfect match. The universe said, here,
Absolutely.
Erica, I got to give you a piece to meet the thing that is preventing
Oh,
you from knowing.
oh, absolutely. It's just a matter of figuring it
And
out.
you're being paid money. Goes to show you how the
Well,
universe works.
that's another story.
Oh,
I'll
they're not
say
paying
that
you
for
enough.
next time. No, no, no. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All
Appreciate
right. Very good. Thank you.
it.
Okay, so that's a demonstration of how we can come into relationship with any number of these structures. That you'll get more information if you do the shame as a doorway workshop about what that might be in you. But it's also useful for those of you who are thinking of doing so to become aware of how you're carrying something of this in the current circumstances of your life. You don't need to go very far when you open up a willingness to see, to recognize what it is that is part of this incapacity that we took on unwittingly. Not our fault, but that which is still shaping the full possibility of what we're becoming. Okay, who's next?
We have Kasha.
Kasha, welcome.
Hi, Kasha.
My displaced Polish woman in New York. Yes,
Yes, thank you. Namaste.
good to see you again. Yeah.
Good to see you. Thank you. I just felt like I needed to come to the hot seat and just like be exposed because, you mentioned in the 9th day that, and I'm aware of it, that there's a very big structure that is running me, and I'm aware of many things. And one thing that I would like to expose and get more clarity about is that my life since I've been growing up, it's been very, like, I was always kind of very self-efficient and just doing things on my own. My father was an alcoholic. My mom had 5 children, and then I started working very quick. So I feel like I'm a very masculine woman. There's so much masculinity in me, protection, work, control. It's such a strong structure. And even now when I'm doing a lot of work with you, Shree, I feel like I'm getting softer and I'm getting more relaxed, but also I'm not sure if that's another way of my ego trying to control my reality. Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just careful not to second guess the process. Relaxation is in the right direction. The softness is the right. It indicates that the your independence is a compensation for a repulsion that derived from shame.
Right.
I'm not going to be like this. A willful coming in your own personal authority as a person, as a human ego, still driven by shame and repulsion and reaction and desire and control. But still, you have access to your ability to change your life that perhaps your mother didn't have. You have the ability to have a say about how that part of your mother in you has authority over you. You can refuse. You can say, no, I'm not going to be like my mother. I'm going to be the way that I feel will bring me into a truer authority, freedom, because that's what comes with authority is freedom, freedom to choose. At least that's the first level. But in fact, even that is a compensating structure that keeps shame in place.
Right.
So if you are relaxing, that means the whole edifice of the life you've created there in New York, leaving behind your ancestral home and all the things you've done in your life are start loosening in their importance. The necessity for them to be there. As the underlying shame structure starts dissolving in the light of the consciousness that's already come to you, it just hasn't been able to come through this really, you might say, positive aspect of you being able to create your own life as an independent person. That, when I speak of true authority, you could say it's more masculine than feminine. But in fact, true authority is also the willingness to submit or to surrender, to let go, and to allow. So that quality of authority is not masculine or feminine, but in the human domain, as a woman, where submission and adaptation is a strategy for almost all
a lot of that,
that is a positive compensation for the predicament you were born into. Now, you as a woman has probably used your power as a feminine expression to get what you want and to control your life, to have it your way and not their way. So what that has done is probably had a cost, because we can never be in true relationship when the basis of our relationship is a compensating structure based on shame. So the ability to love without getting overtaken by it, the ability to be in your own authority in relationship with existence and others is one of the things that start coming when the truth consciousness starts permeating us. Now, I notice as I'm talking to you, your body's getting reactive. So what's going on in your body?
My heart is beating very fast, and I feel a lot of opening even since the ninth day in my, I think it's my second chakra, just lower belly. Like there's a lot of cramping and pain, and just even behind in my back, you know, my sacrum actually area is very in so much soreness and pain. I have so many issues there. So I think it's second chakra, right?
Yeah, second chakra. And it is the issue of our personal power in a human form, right? The key to chi right there and in various martial arts. But it's also the sexual power and the power of the woman body, the womb. It is all related into that personal structure. So the pain there is where it was misused or where it was used to control or to protect uh, uh, the wounded parts. It's also
Right.
probably indication that that's where the wounded parts are. So could, like maybe I said before, there's probably some trauma,
Right.
and that is that's simply true. And you're meeting it there in that lower belly and in the sacrum. That is where it's living. And if you just stay in that place in you and allow both the disturbing and the enjoyable experiences that will come out of that attention, this relaxation will start infusing your body with more of the Shakti, more of the Kundalini. It'll start healing that rigidity that allowed you to survive and succeed. And in
Right.
the process, dissolve the gripping structure of shame you still carry.
Yes. And I also feel a lot recently, somehow the the pandemic and just being separated, it's so good for me. I feel like I don't want to connect to people. Like I don't really want to be around anyone. And I think that's good to be in solitude,
It
right?
is
Like
good. Yes, because you're an
yeah.
outward oriented personality, a lot of rajas. So this is
Mm,
allowing you to reclaim yourself in presence, in your own simplicity, in the simplicity of yourself. So it's a perfect time for you. Yeah, I would take advantage of it as long as you can at a practical level.
yeah. Okay. Thank you so much,
All
Sachi.
right. Very good.
Thank
Again. Okay.
you. See you soon.
Okay. Someone else?
We have Lisa Hartnett up next.
Ah, Lisa. Well, welcome. Have I met you before? No. Okay, but you need to unmute yourself or.
Okay.
Okay, there you
There
go.
she is.
All right. Well, welcome.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, great. Good to meet you.
Yes, my delight.
Lisa, where are you?
I'm in California, Northern.
Ah,
Well, where in Northern California?
San Geronimo, which is by Spirit Rock.
I grew up in Woodacre.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
Very
yes,
fun.
very familiar with San Geronimo.
Yeah. Oh, so you know where I am.
I
That's
know where
sweet.
you are. That is so cool. I actually have a couple of friends still in Woodacre after all these years. So,
Oh, well, thank you. I feel welcomed.
good.
It's sweet to feel. I can feel that in my body.
awesome.
Perfect.
Thank you. So it feels like a little risky, and I feel after I heard you on, was it last Saturday, you did a talk and I was really inspired and I felt drawn to reach out. I have had body pain on the right side of my body for 20 years. I have it all the time. And I've used it very much, which I resonated with everything you were talking about. I've used it as my awakening and done really deep insight and presencing and connection and awakening. And I feel like there's a certain lock energetically I experience on the right side. And I just felt to connect with you and see, like, wow, I'm curious what he'd say. I just am receptive and open to the help.
Okay, well, this is good. Since it's a long term issue. That means it's real pain.
Yeah.
You have to take medication for it. Is it that much pain?
The doctors wanted me to do that, but I've chosen to really use it as my spiritual path. And in the beginning, it was completely overwhelming and overpowering to be with the intensity of the pain. But I've learned over the years, I just be present with it. And sometimes it's too much, like I'm not able to be present with it. But I've chosen not to take any medications. I don't want to go numb to it. I want to be with it.
That's clearly what the being in you knows needs to happen.
Yes.
Yeah, good. You're aligned with that. So let me ask you, was the pain originated by an injury?
I mean, I don't know if there was like past injuries, like when I was young, but it happened when I started working with a spiritual teacher and I had a Kundalini opening, and the relationship with that person was painful for me, like traumatic. I found his anger really intense for me, and like just it was traumatic, I guess I would say.
Demonstrating, I can see what happened. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, good. Now you're right in touch with it, right there.
Yeah, I can feel it. Feel that? Wow, I can feel you with me with that.
Yes, you can. And also I can feel where that is and
Yeah.
the nature of that hope and slashing, that trauma that comes, spiritual trauma. It has an energetic component where, and the right side, of course, for most of us is our bringing ourselves into life side.
Yeah.
So it shut down that capacity in you.
Yeah, I felt that.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a Kundalini injury.
Yeah.
Energetic event. All right. So therefore it will, we just need to find the block. You got a place where it's split and went to the right side. So Kundalini typically rises from below, but what was your experience of the awakening, the Kundalini awakening? Was it in your heart? Was it in up from below coming above?
It was this way.
Okay.
Something really resonated with me with what you just said, because what I've been tracking in my own meditations and experience is I experience a split. That's the word.
That's the split. It's a split. The Kundalini was meant to go straight up and it went sideways.
Yeah.
Went to the right side.
Yeah.
And it can't fully express because it's not big enough.
Yeah.
Or it's not as big as the Sushumna, the main channel. So it's a trauma. And the trauma probably, I doubted he created it, but you brought it with you.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel like it was both like his energy and it was something from my past, both.
Good.
Yeah.
What information have you gotten now that you know it's a split? Let me ask you, where, if you feel into your body right now and pay attention with the inquiry of what is the location of the split in your body, what do you find?
I feel it in my hip.
Okay.
On the right, like, I don't know if you can see where I'm pointing.
I can't, but I get what you're talking.
Yeah.
And go towards the first chakra, or is it in the area of the second chakra? Is it down there?
It almost feels like it's on my hip on the right. It almost feels like in between both.
Okay. Okay, good. All right.
That's interesting. I just felt you see me. Energetically, I could feel that.
If you've been around a teacher who can awaken a Kundalini, then when you're any other teacher, they can merge with you in the same way that merge with you, because that capacity is your capacity, not the teacher's clearly. Okay, so good. So let's just work at that. Let's look at what that is. So the felt sense of the energy. I want you to go in and feel into the quality of the energy of that part of your body. You see if it's pain or pleasure, constriction, or a point.
Feels like a tautness and like tight.
Contraction. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And now I want you to put your hand on that exact location,
Mhm.
right hand on that part, and I want you to massage it. And you be there in presence. And just, you're looking for the split, where the split was. Your intent is to redirect the Kundalini to the Sushumna. You want to send it back through the second chakra, up the spine.
Wow, I can feel you helping me. It brings some tears, you know, internally. I can feel like a recognition, like, I'm receiving what I need to.
Good. So then directing it towards the second and then up. It might be the lower third. We'll see where it is as we go. Might be the womb. You know, just feel whatever is there in that vicinity.
Wow, so all of a sudden it's like the energy came in and is going this way.
Going up, up.
Yeah.
Now? Okay.
Yeah,
good.
it's not blocked anywhere. It's just like,
Okay, good. All right. There you are. That's it. Now let it, yes, let it keep going. Just like a breathe. Let it move all the way from the first chakra, from the anus, all the way up through the top of your body.
yeah, I can feel that.
Okay, good. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is the magic, you know, when you really get to know what it is that you are, then you can find it in everyone else. You can recognize it and you can feel what they're experiencing in your own body. You can feel what they're feeling. You can know what they know. And in with your knowing, and there you're with them when you're like that. And they become part of you and you become part of them.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm very happy. My heart's now expanding. So I'm imagining that that's what's happening for you too. Yes.
Yeah, I can feel you because I do healing with people too, long distance. So it's like I can feel you too. So I feel a mutual.
Yes. It's a mutual love. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I feel
You're
such
welcome.
joy.
All right. Welcome.
Thanks so much, really deeply.
I know. I know that this is deep. So just keep paying attention. If shit arises, keep directing up your spine. It's already probably sorted out, but by you collaborating with it, then the next stage of your journey can now happen.
Well, it's no one's ever addressed it like that. And as I was starting to massage it and redirect it, and you called it a Kundalini trauma, it was like all of a sudden it just made sense. And it's like, and I could feel the freedom in my body in these channels. It was just like, it was dislocated, like all the energy was there.
Yeah. It's usually just that simple.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I've been doing like so much endless trauma healing, and I'm like really appreciative. I mean, maybe it's all that I've done that's brought me to here. I don't know, but thank you.
I assure that the lesson that it was has completed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Who do we have?
We have Karen Burke up
Hey,
next.
Karen.
Namaste.
Do I need to unmute myself? Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear
good.
you just fine. Loud and clear.
Your interaction with Lisa just moments ago.
Linda? Was it
Yeah,
Linda? or-
Lisa.
Was it Lisa? It says Lisa Harnett. Is that, I don't know her
Yeah.
name.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It was exactly what I wanted to express about my connection with you, Shree. I just realized it's just, I connect with the joy that rises up from you, and any interaction that you have with someone, even if you're seriously talking to them, I can feel the joy that's bubbling up within you to unfold and just kind of see what's trying to blossom with your interactions with people and how you help them to, I mean, Lisa used the word joy right when she finished. I felt this tremendous amount of joy, and I realized that's what my connection with you is.
It's actually, you're already in oneness. You're already connected to what I am. You were when I first met you. I knew that. You had to learn it. Now you've learned it. Now,
It
and
just
for
brings
you,
tears to my eyes. I mean, it's like, oh my, amazing.
yes, it
And I
is.
just wanted to thank you. Every time, I just, even when you've got this serious look on your face, there's something, there's this energy that's just trying to come to the light and to information and knowledge, and just bring it out and let it unfold in joy. And there's so much freedom in that.
It
And
is.
when you get the, when you realize what it is, where the blocks are and what the, yeah.
You're
It's like-
seeing, you're experiencing in this moment what it is to be an instrument, a channel of the Supreme Being. You're sharing in the experience because it's also yours.
Yes.
This joy is arising in you. I'm just the trigger or the strengthening of your own knowing. So, all right. I'm delighted. Thank you, Karen. It's a gift right there, right? Right there in the heart.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
All right. Someone else?
Up next, we have Michelle.
Oh,
Oh,
hey,
hi,
Michelle. Good to see you again. Okay.
I need to unmute. Oh, I'm already unmuted.
Yes, you already remember. Can we turn up the sound a little? Just a bit. There we go.
I'm trying to get the sound up.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you so much, both of you. I just had to come up because I'm a friend of Lisa.
Oh,
that's
no kidding.
beautiful.
And I just felt so connected with her during her interaction.
Well, I was just thinking you had almost the same thing going on in your system as Karen and Lisa have. Wait,
So
illness.
just connected to you both, and there's all that energy going through my bodies.
So it's spilling into the collective consciousness. You're a fountain of the new consciousness coming through your body into the collective consciousness. We're doing it together. Yeah. See, this is what the body's good for. Just for this moment of being able to feel the current of Satchitananda. It's always the current of the Supreme Being. Yeah. Beautiful.
I guess that's all I wanted to
Oh,
share.
I know. That's enough. What else could there be?
This is great.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hey, I don't know if I can take that many drinks in a row. Like, okay, that's fine. We can hold off. Smaller glasses are diluted, or now's the time for soda. All right. Anybody have an issue? a little shit, a little content, a little something you don't want to share, just to kind of temper this.
Not yet. Give it a minute.
If you're all, this is what Mariana Kaplan says is bypassing, right? It's so good you never want to come back, right? Okay. Who's next? Anybody? Nobody? Nobody. Well, then this means we're complete. Isn't that cool? Because it'll always end in love and joy and fulfillment. If you have, then whatever needed to arise in that moment is perfect. And if you're not being able to experience that, well, then it's an opportunity for you to experience what's not allowing that to happen for you. And that too is a completion. It can work either way.
Did somebody else? Anita, where did Anita go?
We're watching the two screens pop around. Ring, ring, ring.
There she is.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Welcome. I was just
Where's
thinking.
the kitty?
Well, one just left my lap and the other is over there. Partly through the 9-day, I think it was on Wednesday, I woke up with this sensation of my back underneath the left shoulder blade being on a meat hook.
Ah,
That sounds nasty.
Just,
I like
oh,
it. That's meaty. Yeah, that is.
yeah. Well, it was and it radiated up through the neck and the jaw. And so for meditations, we were sitting 8 hours a day during the 9 days. So, I'd have cushions, I'd be sitting up, I'd be trying to find twerks in different positions. I mean, it's taken, I still feel a little residual of it. And
you can't reach that part of your shoulder.
No, but it's literally like I felt, not only was the hook there, I felt like the suspension of being on the hook.
Okay. So this has two things. I mean, I'm sure you fully are able to experience this. So when we're fully able to experience it, it eventually completes. The thing that's going on in here is that this could be to do with the nature of the Kundalini movement in your body, and you're sitting in a position that is not allowing it to move through the nadis, through the lesser channels. And so you get the kink, this knot, which is comes up, and literally it either the pressure releases so the knot's not so strong, or the knot opens up and it's gone. So it doesn't sound like it disappeared. It sounded like the pressure came off and it's not so painful. So the thing that I would suggest is that perhaps you just get someone to come over and massage that location without them talking. And just let yourself.
And lots of math.
Say that? Yeah, okay, a man. Okay, hire a man. What do we call that?
No, lots of masks. Masks.
Oh, with a mask. Oh,
He doesn't have hearing aids on again.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was a remaining.
No.
All right. So that whole ability to be able to contact it and move it with your own hand is ideal, but you can't reach it with your own hand. So finding a means by which you can access it might be helpful, like just a stick with a rounded edge or something that'll allow you to move it, and then be aware and try to use the other arm to reach it.
I have a lot of those little balls that we use as dancers to roll on.
Yeah,
for massaging.
if you can do that, that might be plenty. Because then that just locks it, because sometimes these are energetic. They may be associated with a past memory, where somebody was preparing you to eat. But I doubt it. I think this is simply a blockage of the Kundalini going off sideways, a little bit like happened for Lisa, a small version of that.
So what's also going on is the first and second chakra, there's buzzing and lots of energy moving. But once in a while, my whole lower body goes numb.
Numb. Interesting.
Completely numb. And it's like, what happened?
All right. Then because normally you can feel the energy. Does the energy typically move through the chakras?
It's more like electrical jolts.
Okay.
Through the system.
Okay, so if that structure in the first and second chakra wasn't there and the energy comes, what would happen normally? Anything?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand the nature of what you were experiencing in the first and second chakra.
You mean in the numbing or in the electrical jolt?
Prior, the electrical charge. Which came first?
Yeah, the electrical charges came first. Those were, sometimes those will go on for days, just the buzzing, literally.
Yeah, okay.
Just through the system. And those would go vertically. Those would go horizontally. It would just, the whole area would just be electrified.
Activated. Okay.
Yeah.
So then how far up would it go? Would it go up the torso?
Usually the second chakra. When I get to the third chakra, it's more the nausea. It's not the electrical charge, it's nausea.
Okay, well then that's definitely significant territory. So it went numb before the nausea came this time? That area?
No, they're not connected. That it's not like one happens and then the other one layers on it. It's all random.
Or so it seems.
Or so it seems.
Yeah. So basically what I'm hearing, Anita, is a disorganized Kundalini movement in your lower chakras. And of course, the first is survival and all that instinctive reactivity and this is in your body. It's not particularly in your consciousness, but it's the incapacity of your body to catch up with your consciousness. So it's disorganized in those first two chakras. So it's trying to get organized. But when it gets to the nausea, it's actually moving up vertically, which is what you want it to do.
Right.
So that means that the thing that's locked up in there, whatever that may be, trauma or maybe part of your arthritis or some sort of structural inherited pattern, whatever that may be, needs to be able to be aligned. And the way you can align it is that take that electrical energy and consciously direct it up your body. Okay, it is Kundalini. It's coming in with the kind of the edge of truth. So it's working hard to come through this structure in you. So it's going to be uncomfortable because it's beyond our normal comfortable zone. Otherwise, first, second chakra could be very pleasurable, very relaxing. The first chakra opens up, it's very relaxing. Second chakra is just ananda, pleasure, sexual energy that comes up. So those are very relaxing. It means it's moving correctly. But if it gets to the third and it gets to be nausea, then something in the third, and that's your control issue, it's your safety issue, it's your aloneness, it's your fear of the future, it's all the things that up here, you define it that way, but they're down here.
Is it also shame? Is it also shame?
Not necessarily. I think we're really talking about shame may be related to something of what's going on, but I actually feel that the biological component here is that it can't seem to get to the third chakra to open the passageway that would take it then to the shame structure, which typically is in the diaphragm in terms of our immediacy of the diaphragm. And then beyond that is the heart. So you have something happening to you from top down, and you have something that's trying to happen from bottom up. And that two haven't yet been able to meet in your physical body. So what that is Satchitananda in the body is what Kundalini Shakti is. And that is truth consciousness trying to embody itself, open a passageway so it can do so. Because I know you can feel the current in your heart. You can feel the purpose. You can feel that all the way. And when you feel it from above, can you direct it down? Have you tried to direct it down?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay, so that's what I recommend you do.
Okay.
So right now, I want you to become aware, be connected to me, be right there in your body. Pay attention to your body. In your upper, notice what's going on in the area of your head, throat, chest, heart, diaphragm, belly. Now touch on the second chakra. First chakra. Can you get that far? Okay, now notice any response coming up from those areas.
No, but I don't feel any blockage either, and I felt expansion in the heart and diaphragm.
Okay, all right. So there we go. So it might be just a simple straightening out by using the greater authority of the descending force. Because the ascending force doesn't have the same strength as the descending force. Because there's two forces in all of our process of transformation. One that comes from above through the crown, and one that comes from below from our umbilical to Mother Nature, which carries the Kundalini Shakti, which comes from the Asat from below, where the truth consciousness comes from the Sat above. So either of these are accessible to us. Some people are more open to the descending force, and others are more open to the ascending force. But ultimately, one calls forth the other, and they come to resolution in our third chakra. So it, the higher awareness force is more capable than the arising experiential force, which is not as
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
okay.
Wonderful.
Nothing else there? You good?
No, that's good.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. All right. It's always a delight. I was thinking about you last night. I don't know why that came up, but I always have a delight in my heart. You have a place in my heart where you're just this point of delight.
Oh, that's a delight. Thank you. And you're a place in mine.
Maybe that's what I'm feeling. Your delight. All right. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, Sachi.
Someone else.
Bye-bye, Anita.
So we have Nella.
Bye, Sachi.
Hey.
Hey,
Bye.
Nella and you. Okay.
Nella and you. We can see you. Yeah, Nella, I just got the recording of your mentoring call, so I haven't had a chance to listen to it, but I told her I already felt fine about you doing the program. So
Good. Well, interesting. After the healing that happens with Lisa and her friend who show up to show her gratitude.
Karen.
Oh, it's Michelle.
Oh, Michelle. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I just felt that impulse. Something came up, and before Anita started talking, I said to you, "Okay, I'm gonna raise my hand," and I was here touching, and so I raised my hand, and I started feeling my heart. It was palpitating so strongly. It's like it wanted to get out of my chest, and then while Anita was talking, I couldn't really connect to her, but I just had tears on my eyes. And I think when I raised my hand, it was raised for the Spanish speaking people.
Oh.
I wasn't raising the hand for my own.
Beautiful. That's exactly what you are, Nella. You are a channel by which all the sorrow of women of your entire culture can be resolved.
Yeah. And as you were healing, the first thing that showed up, you were healing Lisa after you did that, or you performed that together. The vision of my father came up, who he has lost partially his vision for what is it that he had glaucoma.
Coma, yes.
So, but it showed up him playing harp, he has started playing again, partially blind. He used to play that on his young years. So it showed up that, and then it showed up on this emotion I was feeling in my heart. It just showed the whole country where gave me birth was Venezuela, and all that is going through. So I don't know what it is. I just wanted to share with you. So I don't know what you have to say about that.
Glad you did that, Nella, because I'm with you with that. I'm with you with that. I'm here for the whole world. And you now know you're here for that piece of the world that you are the child of. You know, all of Venezuelan, South American women, Central America, and where the trauma, the diminishment, the terrible fear and stress of that entire time and era of which you're part of. Um, so the fact that you recognize it both as your own and shared, and that you're speaking with that voice, it lets me know that the world mother is what you are, and that you've come to me to empower you to do your mission, your purpose, is to release it both within yourself and for all Venezuelan women who are suffering tremendous shame, guilt, obligation, poverty, deprivation, abuse, so that it can be healed, transmuted into a recovery of the feminine authority, because that's the only way that country is going to come out. Okay, it's beautiful. I'm really feeling, I don't know if you're feeling the magnificence of your aspiration.
Mm.
All right, that's your divine nature. My God, you have a father who plays the harp. I mean, you had to come to heavens for this. Okay. All right. Well, we called it out. You've named it. I see it. So this is now the nature of your journey with me.
Thank you both.
Thank you both. You got a great partner with this. It's good to see you. Yeah.
Up next is Christine.
And Christine's our last one.
Okay, Christine,
Hey,
welcome.
Christine.
Okay. Wow. I don't think my mic is muted. Sorry about
Oh,
that.
you're good.
Good.
You're good. I can hear you just fine.
Okay. So I do have a symptom that has shown up. It's re-emerged after the 9-day. It's happened a couple times, and I had it first in my teens, and it's I mean, I guess the closest way to describe it is like an ocular migraine, but it doesn't turn into a migraine. It just has like it affects my vision, and it's like a lot of geometric kind of patterns and designs that go on. It's like an overstimulation. And so I don't know. I've been having the energy come up and get just like really tight
Stuck.
and stuck right in there.
It's the medulla oblongata. It's getting stuck right there at the base of at the top of the spine, the base of the skull. Correct? That area.
Yeah, and I just try to relax everything because
Yeah.
my everything will tighten up, and I thought it shifted, but now
No, it's worse because the kundalini is stronger. The energy is stronger.
yeah, and the kundalini will try to like move, but it doesn't, and it'll shake it.
Come through. So this is there's the third eye, by the way, which is between the two eyeballs, but it can definitely affect the whole upper nasal and the eye socket area with the blockage. So it's all locked up. And what you're doing is the energy is getting so fierce that you're seeing the subtle dimension simultaneously. So you're seeing these kaleidoscopic matrix kind of images that are actually the sign of the kundalini energy getting stuck in the sixth chakra. Okay. So I suspect it's a lid that's been put on you.
Yeah, actually,
you in your body.
Yeah, I used to do a lot of outer astral travel, and I don't remember, but I do think there was a teacher who did put their hand on my head. But that maybe was 20, 30 years ago.
But that's when these things started happening for you?
But those things started happening in my teens.
So
I remember the first time I ever meditated was with my brother who took his life later. And when we first meditated, I experienced a full opening and expansion, and I haven't been able to experience that since.
Okay. So this actually is a lid. It's either you put it on yourself, or one of your guides put it on you, or the spiritual teacher put it on you, so you could stay in your body long enough to learn the lessons of this human life.
Yeah, well, it's worked. I feel like I've learned a lot of lessons.
Yeah. So now you're banging up against the lid.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's a part of you that's keeping it in place. So I would invite you to, what in your life are you still hanging on to? What is it that you still are hoping for that hasn't come yet? What is it that still feels incomplete as a human woman in life?
Well, I mean, a lot feels incomplete around around relationship, around work. I still feel like there's so much to do. I think there's some fear there about coming out and being seen.
Well, that's your own power as a person. So maybe that is. So have you been doing, I can't remember your story. Are you a spiritual teacher now, or have you played a role in leadership or any of that?
I'm a therapist.
Okay, so you're a therapist. Right?
Yeah, and I've done a lot, and it's like people who are suicidal or
Yeah.
have lost loved ones, people have died, they show up, even if the therapy is about something else. It's like, that's who
All
shows.
right. So you're a healer. You came to heal. So you feel obligated to play that role. And that the design is to sacrifice your own higher state in order to do so. And that is, in the process, you've discovered something of your own authority as a spiritual being, as a human being and a spiritual being.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's important. This authority that you've come to is true. The incompletion may not be true. The thing, whatever part of you that took on responsibility of your brother's suicide is not true. The part of you that's still vested in whatever was going on around that and what's happened to you around that may still be there, but it's not truth, but it's something yet to fully meet and to let go of. Now, I don't know if you've done work with this.
Yeah, I've done work. There was a trauma, and I had repressed it, but it came up spontaneously in my 30s, and all the details and interactions came up, and I feel like I feel like I've healed that, but I think I mean, I see I've made, like, the 9-day retreat was an amazing deepening and coming more into that center.
Okay, very good. So I think this is what's happening, because up until now you've lived your life as well as you could based on the available information and energetic field. Now another kind of life is opening up for you where these are no longer sufficient. So my sense is you're ready to make a transition, that all these things that you feel are still unresolved or obligated to in some way are really residues rather than the thing itself. Maybe just in the part of you that's taken on more than needed, like taken on the poison of others rather than to, not just that you can't digest the poison of others, but that you've made it your role and you've taken a position where you sacrifice your own freedom and joy for others. So that is a true statement.
Yeah. Yes, and I did that quite a few times where it backfired, and then they like acted like I was, like, they were victimized by me. It was like that happened several times, and then I had a big third eye opening spontaneously where it was like a release around feeling responsible, seeing things that I couldn't stop from happening, and
Then
people
that
not
is,
listening to me.
that's what wants to happen now. That same release.
Yeah.
So imagine the release. Imagine you're not obligated for anything. That you're free to choose to go beyond the boundary of self-imposed exile from the full truth of what you are. Come out of this self-sacrificing, martyring your cell structure. Because what you can be when you go beyond this is something much more effective. So I invite you to let that happen and be free. Now, it's this part of you that obligates herself and takes on the burden, and this doesn't serve you. So where that lies in your body might be this shame conversation. We'll see. If you join us for the shame intensive, let's see. Did it get activated in the 9-day?
I could see those extensive shame structures, and I was so surprised because I've always thought I rebelled against it and I was beyond it. but no. But I'm not going to be able to join you for this coming.
Okay.
We're
Well,
gonna do it again in May,
yeah.
Christine. So you can, yeah,
And,
it'll be
and you
back.
can also just play what we did in the 9-day again
Right, but
and
you
watch
can
that.
join live.
The principle here is it's already in motion.
It is in motion, yeah.
It's a number of pieces that are associated with it. It's just you coming into the full authority of what you are now.
When it happens, I feel like my neck, there's some vertebrae that something's really out of alignment and the energy can't push through. And so that's what
you've contracted it for so long.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah. So you might want to focus on relaxing, be aware of the tension, and be inclusive and go into presence and hold the contraction, because that might also reveal information about the nature of why you've obligated yourself to this.
Okay.
Okay. So I have a feeling of it. I can see it, feel in the heart. And it has something to do with taking responsibility for your brother and unwittingly or wittingly.
Yeah.
So I think that your heart is involved with what needs to move here. It's time to stop beating yourself up, perhaps.
Yeah, I think I've shifted that. I think that I can see that old patterning so clearly that I'm not willing to
let it
elaborate anymore with that. But so I guess I just wanted to make sure that it didn't look like it was going out of
No, I believe it's just what we've said. You could do the same thing I recommended. Put your fingers and massage the areas where the contraction are.
Yeah.
Only not just to massage it, but to kind of enter into it more deeply. Okay. We're going to have to finish. But anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
All right. So we're going to finish with a silent sitting. Those of you who can, I hope to see you tomorrow, same time, same station. And if not, there's enough material on our website to keep you all busy for the rest of your lives. So I'm just going to take a couple of minutes and we'll just sit silent and still. All right, let us begin. Hari Om Dhat Sat. Hari Om Dhat Sat. Hari Om Dhat Sat Shri. All glory to the Supreme. May truth manifest. Namaste.
Namaste.
Okay, thank you all.